Hi, welcome back to Blaine Sutton Music. I'm here today to help you uh, find your way around the guitar. Last video we talked about, an intro to looking at guitars. Today we're going to be talking about, okay, what do I do with it now? First order business, super important, learn your way around the instrument. Not in terms of playing musically, but physically. What is all this stuff? So, you got basically two main parts. You got your neck, very important, and you got your body. The body is the big part right here. Then you have your neck, where you're going to be running your hand up and down to play. You have your headstock, which is this wooden piece that flares out here. Right there. You got your tuners, tuning pegs. It's how you tune up the guitar to play it. You have the nut here, which is usually a black piece of plastic or like whitish piece of bone or plastic, basically, and that's what holds the strings in place. So that's a really important piece. You have this usually a truss rod cover. The truss rod is just a piece of, it's basically like a rod that runs through the neck to help change the angle, basically straighten it out. If it's bowing or anything, helps basically set up the instrument to adjust the action of the strings, like how high or low the strings are off the fretboard. So that's pretty important. Then of course you have the fretboard itself, which is usually a darker piece of wood on the neck, and that's where the frets are. That's why they call it the fretboard. It's also called the fingerboard, but usually people refer to it as the fretboard. Then you have also on the neck you have your dot position markers, usually at the 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, and 12th fret, and it goes up from there. But if you're joining us as a beginner, like the video intends you for, you're not really going to need a whole lot up there just yet, but use that 3rd, 5th, and 7th position marker as a reference. That's a good tip instead of having to count all the way up, which I see a lot of first timers do. So moving on from that, you have the if you have an electric guitar, you have the pickup selector, which selects back and forth between your pickups. Middle position will usually be both. The neck position is just going to be the one by the neck. That's why they call it the neck position. Then you have the bridge position, which is the one by the bridge. So basically this is kind of like the saddle here, and this is like the bridge, like posts and everything. It's kind of like your bridge components, I guess. And then here you actually have your bridge on an acoustic guitar, and the saddle is this white piece right here. If you're playing on an acoustic guitar, and the whole thing is kind of like the bridge. And then you have your little bridge pins here on an acoustic guitar. You can see right there, and those just hold the strings in place with some tension from the string itself. And so that's pretty cool. And then also on an electric guitar, you're going to have some type of knobs. Your guitar may vary from this one, may vary in style. The wiring may be different, so consult your owner's manual. And then you're going to always have your volume here, usually, and it just does that. You have it all the way down. It doesn't make noise. Turn it up. Makes a lot more noise. I do go somewhere in the middle to find it a comfortable range. It really lets the instrument speak without being too sensitive. And then you have your tone knob, which does two things. It basically controls the sound of the that you're getting, and also lets you dial in kind of effect-like qualities depending on what you're trying to coax out of the instrument itself. So all the way rolled off, it's going to be rolling, looking at it, it's going to be counterclockwise, rolling it towards you. Until it stops, it's going to be all the way, the tone will be rolled off, as they say. And that's going to give you a very warm or muddy sound. You can hear how it's a little muddy, but very warm still. And then as you roll it up, this is about midway. Gets a little brighter. And then as you go all the way up, it gets as bright as it can. You get a little bit more high end. A little bit more definition between the notes. So I usually like to have it about 3/4 of the way on this particular guitar with this setup. That's where I think it sounds the best for most of what I play. And that is basically what you need to know about the physical parts of the guitar. And next I'd like to break it up a little bit more, talking about the frets. So we talked about these being the frets, these actual thin metal wires here. But when you actually play the first fret, you don't put your finger on the wire itself. You put it right below. And that's going to be true regardless of where you go on the fretboard, whether it's in the middle here, or up higher, or way down low. Those fingers are always going to press down right below the fret, not on top of it, because you get this fuzzy sound. But if you go right below, it's much clearer, and lets you just be more accurate with your notes. How well the instrument tunes when you place your fingers. It's called intonation, basically, but like a chord, making sure all the notes within the chord are in tune. And that's kind of like the secret of guitar is controlling the strings well, so that you get a nice clear sound and move efficiently between chords and notes. And the first step to doing that is getting those fingers right below the fret. I usually like to get them, if you're in the top half of the fret, cut it right in half. If you're in the top half, you'll usually do pretty good. And when I say top half, I relate everything to pitch. So you'll notice that the guitar goes up in pitch as you go this way, even though this is like down from my perspective or your perspective as a player holding the guitar. You'll notice it goes up in pitch. So when I say, in the top half, I'm relating to the pitch. A lot of people say, I'll say, wrong finger on that fret, move it up. And they'll be like, move it up. And they'll go like this. I'm like, move it up. And I'm like in pitch. And they're like, oh, okay. There we go. And disclaimer, I always tell them that everything's related to pitch, but, people forget. But it's my go-to for these videos. We're talking about music. We're talking about pitches in a set span of time. So everything gets related to pitches. So if I say we're moving up 2 frets, you go from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret. The numbers kind of help you figure that out logically. Guitar is a super logical, very visual instrument. Everything's kind of like a matrix, a Excel sheet, a graph, a chart, and other such, names. But yeah, the most important thing, keep those fingers up in the top part of the frets, and then your frets are related to pitch, just like they're like their numbers of the frets would suggest, with like 1, 3, 5, 7. It goes up. As the number goes up, so does the pitch on any given string. And that's pretty much all I want to talk about in terms of the physical properties of the instrument. Give you a little rundown of the frets there, all the different parts, and a little bit about what the electronics do. Again, I'm I'm Blaine with Blaine Sutton Music, and thanks for tuning in. Hope this helped you get a little bit of grasp of what all this stuff is on your guitar, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. In our next video, we're going to have, I'll give you some rundowns about fingering rules, how to navigate your way among through the frets and through the through some basic chords, and the string names and numbers, and help navigate, instead of the whole guitar, this part right here. Get a basis of the fretboard. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see ya. Have a good one.